It started with a knock at the door. I wasn't expecting anyone, not this early, and certainly not her. Emily's voice called out nervously from the porch. "Tony, I need help." My heart sank the moment I saw her standing there, holding a small bag, her face pale, her eyes darting around like she was searching for a solution she couldn't find. Behind her, barely noticeable at first, was Jake, her old friend from college, the one she used to talk about in stories and memories that didn't include me. "Keys?" I asked, already piecing it together. She nodded quickly, her fingers fumbling with her purse. I think I locked myself out. I don't know where my spare is, and Jake, he had to leave for a meeting, so I thought, can you help me? I stepped outside, keeping my expression neutral, though my mind was racing. 2 months ago we had argued over trust, over space, over boundaries. And now here she was, showing up with someone I didn't fully trust, needing me for a simple thing, or maybe more. I followed her to her car, noticing the tension in the air, the way she kept glancing at Jake, as if seeking reassurance and yet relying on me. "Tony, I didn't want to bother you, but I really don't know what to do," she said, her voice shaky. I took a deep breath, trying to mask the frustration I felt. "It's fine," I said evenly. "Let's figure it out." The lock was simple, the spare key hidden in the usual spot, but the moment I handed it to her, I noticed Jake's smirk. That smirk wasn't casual. It was the same one I remembered from years ago when they shared inside jokes that I was never part of. As she fumbled with the keys, trying to unlock the door, my thoughts spiraled. Why did she bring him here? Why now? The excuses were ready in my mind, but they didn't make the anxiety in my chest any lighter. I watched her, careful not to show the anger rising inside me, while she muttered, "I'm so sorry. I didn't know who else to call." Finally, the door clicked open. She rushed in, Jake trailing slightly behind, and I could feel the unspoken tension crackling in the room. The air smelled faintly of her perfume and something else I couldn't place. She turned to me, eyes wide and apologetic. "Thanks, Tony. I don't know what I'd do without you." I nodded, keeping my voice steady, though the storm inside me was anything but calm. "You're welcome," I said, carefully, deliberately, letting her realize that actions like this weren't invisible, they had consequences. Once inside, Emily set her bag down and sank onto the couch, her hands twisting nervously in her lap. Jake lingered awkwardly near the doorway, clearly unsure if he should leave or stay. I kept my distance, watching both of them, my mind replaying the moment she walked in with him, her old friend, who suddenly appeared in my space like a shadow from the past. "I didn't mean for it to be awkward," she said, voice soft, almost pleading. "I just needed someone to help me. I didn't think it would be a big deal." I studied her face, noting the subtle tension around her eyes, the way she avoided my gaze. The words sounded innocent, but the situation screamed otherwise. Needed someone to help? Really, Emily? With him standing there? I crossed my arms, keeping my tone measured. "It's not the keys I'm worried about," I said slowly, letting the weight of my words sink in. "It's why he's here. And why you brought him into our home, unannounced." Her lips parted as if to protest, but no sound came. She swallowed, and I could see the realization hit her that this wasn't something she could smooth over with a simple apology. Jake cleared his throat, stepping back, sensing the tension. "I'll just leave you two to talk," he muttered, heading for the door. Emily called after him, "Wait, it's fine." But the words trailed off, leaving the silence heavy between us. I took a slow breath, my anger simmering under the surface. For 2 months I had trusted her to make decisions carefully, to consider our boundaries, and now this, her casually bringing someone from the past into our home, felt like a breach I couldn't ignore. She finally looked at me, eyes wide and vulnerable. "Tony, I didn't mean for this to happen. I just panicked. My keys, I didn't know who else to call." I shook my head, the frustration rising but keeping my voice steady. "Emily, it's not just the keys. It's the trust. It's the respect. You brought him here knowing exactly what it would do." Her hands trembled as she clasped them together. "I didn't think. I didn't want to be locked out, and I didn't want to bother you." I leaned forward slightly, letting my words land. "Sometimes, Emily, the smallest things reveal the biggest truths. You panicked about keys, but what about everything else? The choices you make, the people you involve, the lines you cross, they all matter. Do you understand that?" She nodded slowly, guilt and fear flickering across her face. The room was tense, the kind of tension that precedes revelation. I took a slow breath, letting the silence hang before I spoke. Emily, 2 months ago I trusted you to respect our home, our boundaries. And now you show up with him. My voice was calm, deliberate, but sharp enough to cut through the tension. She flinched slightly, realizing for the first time that her casual explanation wouldn't undo the weight of her actions. I didn't mean, she started, but I held up a hand. No. Let me finish. You panicked about keys, yes. But you didn't panic enough to call anyone else? You didn't respect the trust we have? Actions like this, they have consequences. She swallowed hard, realizing that this wasn't a small scolding. This was accountability. I leaned forward, keeping my gaze steady. I didn't just stand there and wait for trouble. I planned. I prepared. I didn't confront you until I knew I had clarity. Slowly, I pulled a small folder from the counter and placed it in front of her. Inside were texts, screenshots, messages, evidence of every time she had acted without thinking, every small lie, every omission from the past 2 months. Her eyes widened as she flipped through the pages, words failing her. You see, Emily, I said, voice low but firm, I didn't just let this slide. I watched, I waited, and I made sure that when you came back, you'd face the truth. Not just about the keys, but about everything you've been taking for granted. Her hands trembled slightly as she held the folder, realizing the depth of what I had uncovered. I didn't think, she whispered, eyes brimming with tears, but I shook my head. It's not about thinking, Emily. It's about accountability. You came home, expecting help, expecting me to forgive instantly, expecting me to ignore the betrayal that walked through that door with you. But I'm not that man anymore. She sat there, speechless, finally understanding the gravity of her actions. The room was quiet, heavy with tension, and for the first time, she realized that trust isn't restored with words. It's earned. I stood, collected my coat, and looked at her one last time. Take care of your choices, Emily. I hope you've learned that actions, no matter how small, always have consequences. I walked out, leaving her to face the reality she had created. And for the first time in weeks I felt light, free, unshaken. And she was left speechless, finally understanding the results of her impulsive decisions.